What's up, guys? It's me, your favorite frying pan flinger, Speedy Samo 7, and today we're playing Games Unite Testing Place. This seems to be like an abandoned test place, for I don't know, maybe like a CS:GO type game. Just considering like the way the recoil works and everything, and there's like tap strafing and stuff. Anyway. But that's not the focus of today's video. This is mostly just background gameplay. This is just something I, warm up for rivals or something. Because I have a little story I want to tell. I saw a comment that said something along the lines of, you should tell more stories and do more commentary videos or like story time videos. And I was like, you know what? I have some more interesting stories I could talk about. So yeah, let's do that. So basically, also when you scroll, you can just get different weapons. There's like a bunch of them. So I'll be switching around randomly. But yeah, so the story I want to tell is the story of, do I even have to give it a title? Whatever, I'll give it a title. The story of how my friends and I thought we found a safe in the bottom of a lake. So, we were out magnet fishing, and if you don't know what magnet fishing is, it's basically when you get a really powerful magnet and you tie it to the end of a rope and you throw it into a lake and you hope you find something. And now typically you might get like some fish hooks or some coins depending on where you go. There's pretty crazy videos of people on YouTube getting like weapons and like stuff like that, but we never found anything that cool. But so what happened is we threw out a magnet, right? We were at this lake fishing, magnet fishing off this this dock that's at this lake, and we were like, wait a second, we threw out a magnet, right? We're like, wait a second, that feels pretty stuck. And sometimes, it can just get tangled up in like weeds or something on the bottom of the lake. So we're like, huh, that's kind of weird. So we threw out another one and it got stuck in the exact same spot. We have two of these massive magnets that are stuck in the same spot. And we're like, huh, that's kind of weird. So we're like, okay, well, we'll remember that spot. We wanted to go swim out to it, but none of us had like swimming gear on us because we weren't expecting to have to swim this day. So we're like, that's kind of weird. We'll remember this spot, and then we'll come back to it when, we actually have, like, swimming gear on. And so we came back the next day. This was over summer break. So we came back the next day, woke up bright and early, and went down to this lake. And we were like, all right, where... So it took us a sec to find, like, where magnets had previously been stuck. And so, anyway, we get a magnet, like, hooked up to whatever this thing is. We didn't know what it was at the time. And... I strap on my friend's GoPro because I had some swimming gear on, and I'm a pretty good swimmer. And so I strap on my friend's GoPro and I swim out to it, and then I dive down. And this, keep in mind, this was like, it must have been 15 feet out from the dock and about 10 to 15 feet underwater. Like, it was deep. Okay, what is going on here? I'm getting like bum rushed. Are we serious? Anyway, so we I strap on the GoPro and I dive down to it. I have some goggles on, right? And I look at it. I'm like, what the heck is this thing? I had no clue what it was. It was like a large metal box. Like, it was about the size of like a microwave. Actually, a little bit bigger than a microwave. I'm just looking at it, and it was so deep that, like, your ears start to pop and like you feel like you can't hold your breath. And the water was really cold down there too because of how deep it was. So I couldn't look at it for very long. But I come up and my friends are like, what is it? And I'm like, I think my exact words were like, I don't want to get anybody's hopes up, but I think it might be a safe, which would have been an absolutely insane find. So anyway, I'm like, it might be a safe. I had no clue. Anyway, so we get more friends, and they come out and take a look at it, and we're like, okay, well, how do we get this thing like out of here? So we try to like pull on the magnets. But there's so much rust on this metal box that the magnets can't like get a good grip. So what we end up doing is we're like, okay, we have a friend who is a certified scuba diver. And so what if we get him out to the lake and we have him dive down there, tie some ropes around this thing, and pull it out somehow. And so in the meantime, we messaged that friend, and he's like, yeah, I could probably do this, but, I have to, like, I have to dive. Like, I have to have, like, a friend dive with me. He had his dad dive with him. But he's like, I have to have somebody dive with me, because if you know scuba diving, they don't dive alone. You always dive with a partner. What the... Okay. And so they oh, interesting, we're playing gun game. Okay. So anyway, in the meantime, though, we're coming out here basically every day to this lake. The lifeguards at the lake literally knew us basically by name. We had like, at one point, we had like a friend's raft, like inflatable raft type thing out there. And we were trying to like basically tie like paracord around it and pull it up. And that wasn't working. We had no clue how we were going to get this thing out. Like it was so heavy. We couldn't even budget. So after like several days of us going to the lake and unsuccessfully trying to dig this thing out, eventually our diver friend, he messages us and is like, "Yo, does Saturday work for you guys?" And we're like, "Heck yeah, it does." So he pulls up. He has, they have their full scuba gear. He has like his oxygen tanks. He has like his diving suit. He has his mask. He has everything. It's insane. He is fully kitted out, and so he gets ready, right? They do like they pressurize all their tanks, or their tanks are already pressurized, right? They hook up all their oxygen systems to their tanks, and they wade out to the water, and they swim out to where our lines are attached to what we think is a safe. And so we have them out there, and they're looking at it like, yeah, this might actually be a safe. This is kind of crazy. And so they brought there's a little like boat launch not too far, because this thing was only about 30 feet from shore. So there's a little boat launch pretty close to where the safe was in the water. So they were thinking, what if we just take a really, really strong rope and we tie it around the tow hitch on our car, and then we just literally tow it out with our car. And I was like, well, you know what? That might actually work. And so that's what they ended up doing, is they tied ropes around it, and we would go bit by bit and slowly inch this thing out of the water. And so little bit by little bit, eventually they'd readjust, they'd retie the knot on the trailer hitch, and they'd slowly pull it out of the water. And it took about like 30 minutes, and keep in mind, like, this is not something that happens every day at this lake. People were baffled as to what was happening, because we had like 100-foot rope just running into the middle of the lake. We had like guys in full scuba gear going up and down in the water. Everybody's like, what is going on? And so after we get it out, right, we pull it all the way to shore. And at this point, we started this whole operation at about 9 a.m. and now it's about noon. And so we're all feeling pretty hungry. And so my diver friend and his dad, they're like, all right, we're gonna change out of our gear. We're gonna go get some food from the store nearby. Do you guys want us to get anything for you, right? Because we just had it sitting on like the shore, like the lake, yeah, the shore of the lake or whatever you call it at this time. And so we just had it sitting there. We were like, well, we don't want anyone to like come mess with this. And so anyway, they take off. And it's me and I think 2 of my friends. We are just kind of chilling around, trying to figure out what the heck this thing is. We try and open it, because it literally was almost exactly like a safe, except for the fact that it wasn't a safe. Spoiler alert, it wasn't a safe. But it was almost exactly like a safe. And so we try and like unlatch the top, and we open it, and guess what was inside? It was a bunch of rocks. It was literally rocks. And there was also like oil, like an oily substance that was coming off it. I think it might have been like grease or something, because we looked it up, and there apparently was like manufacturing that was done at one point on this lake. And so it might have been from like a manufacturing plant for like trees or something, like a processing plant for trees that used to be on this lake like 50 to 70 years ago. And yeah, so we're looking at it, trying to figure out what it is. We're taking pictures. We're just chilling out. And then a park ranger pulls up in his truck, pulls right up next to us in his truck, and he's like, "Gentlemen, what have you got here?" And we're like, "Well, we don't know. We don't really know, sir. We pulled it out of the lake. Honestly, we're just trying to figure out what it is." And he's like, "Well, it appears to be leaking oil." So they put down like a oil contamination cleanup thing. It was so dumb, bro. They put down like this whole like contamination like rope thing that just sits on top of the water and prevents the oil from going anywhere. And keep in mind, there was like barely any oil. There was nothing basically. It was just like a little puddle. And they put they get that whole thing down, and then they're like, well, technically this came from the lake, which is technically a part of the park, and you guys can't have this. So yeah, we're gonna be taking it from you. And they use like some sort of like not a forklift, but like a little dolly thing, and they wheel it up onto their truck, and then they leave, and they just take it from us. And this whole it happened so fast. From the time they arrived to the time they left was probably like 10 minutes, and they didn't like give us any say in the matter. They were like, we're taking this from you, there's nothing you can do about it. And we were like, okay, I guess. I mean, kind of wanted to figure out what it was, and you know, it was pretty cool that, you know, we're cleaning up the lake. I mean, it doesn't really matter. All the oil was just sitting in the bottom of the lake anyway. All we did was literally pull it out and clean up the lake for you guys. So, thank you would be nice, I guess. And they're like, no, we're just going to take this and leave. And, yeah, so that was kind of a bummer. And the friends who were out at the store get back and they're like, what did you guys do with the safe? And we're like, oh, some park rangers came and took it from us. So, that's cool. And, yeah, that's pretty much the story. I mean, obviously it wasn't actually a safe, but it was pretty cool like it was pretty cool to think that it was, and it could have been. And I mean, regardless, it was a pretty cool find. And honestly, like, it wasn't about what we would actually find inside. It was more about like, hey, why don't we try and, you know, pull this really cool thing that we found at the bottom of the lake out of the lake, you know, just for the heck of it. And yeah, we had like scuba divers, we had like all the lifeguards at the lake literally knew us by name, and they're like, oh, you guys are back looking at the safe every time we'd come there. And yeah, it was just kind of a crazy situation for the whole summer. And for the rest of the summer, we were known at the lake as the safe guys, because me and my friends were the ones that, you know, pulled a frickin' safe out of the lake. And I don't know, man, pretty cool story. And yeah, I guess that's all from me. Peace.